the new cybersecurity battleground is no longer in your network. It's now mostly around identity and access management. Do you know why? Well, if you are someone, even if you look at a river, how it flows, it will look for the easiest way. If you look at how water flows, it will look for the easiest way. Same thing, same principle happens here. Hackers will try to find the easiest way possible into your systems. And what better way than to convince you that they are you? And this is not an old trick. It's not, it's not a new trick. It has always been the way. But previously, would say, oh, make sure you have an antivirus, make sure you have a firewall, make sure you have. So you think for them, they don't know that we are doing all these things. But the easiest way into your network now is to compromise credentials, steal passwords and emails, and pretend that you are the person who owns those credentials. You get into the system, move your way upwards until the admin level, and compromise a whole network. And that's why the battleground has shifted. So now many hackers are relying so much on credential misuse, on if, for example, an employee has left and you've not deactivated their credentials, if you have old repos or old versions of software that still have old credentials and they can access them, and they're able to probably increment their way into the new version of your software. Different ways you can misuse credentials. So it is very funny how you can have everything in place, but then one employee is using a weak password and it's compromised. It can be easily broken, or there's been a data breach. So many things, right? So this is actual hunting ground for hackers. So the best way to manage this is to say, how are we actually granting access? Who has access to the most important things in our organizations? And do those people need that access? For example, you might find that people have access to systems that they don't need to do their actual job. This is where the principle of least privilege comes in. So it's very important that you grant access to people, to systems they need for their day-to-day, but also give them only the access they need for that work. So it means that even if I need that system, I don't need to have admin access. Or if I'm only executing something small, I only maybe need read access. So even the permissions that you grant to people at different levels should be assessed. Then you also need to look at how these people, this access is assessed over time, every month or every quarter. And are you checking that when people leave your organization, how long do you take to deactivate their access to these systems? All those things are very important. On top of that, even while people are in the organization, you have to make sure that you have required multi-factor authentication. These are basic cyber hygiene principles we've talked about on this channel before. So it's very, very important that whenever it's a critical system, you require them to have multi-factor authentication. And I say this a lot, so I sometimes forget. If you are new here or if you don't know what multi-factor authentication is, it's when logging into a system requires you to have another form of identifying yourself so that we know that you are who you really say you are. It could be a key, it could be a password, or it could be a PIN, it could be a biometric, it could be an authenticator, or it could be an email code that you have received on a different channel, it could be an SMS on your phone number. to verify that the person who wants to access the system is actually who we know in the system. This is where also password managers come in, so that people don't have to use the same password across different platforms, so that you can manage that particular piece of access as well. Then, of course, on top of that, we also have to include awareness training to make sure that people can identify phishing attacks. Because in terms of credentials, when we come to, for example, credential harvesting and phishing emails, what happens is that you're trying to trick someone to assume they're logging into a legitimate platform, or you're trying to trick someone to log into a platform. You can tell them they have won something, an iPhone or a trip, and so they just have to log into their system with their email and password, and they continue to the next step. So teaching people how to recognize signs of a phishing email or a vishing email, or making sure that even when you discard information, you have shredded these things, they can't be reconstructed. Yes, so managing information and your credentials is now very key, because you really never know where the issue will come from, right? Yeah, so it's very important that you look at how you manage access to your systems. As a small organization, I think it's very important also to choose systems that have a proven background of security in them, so that you're able to just implement and ride on top of what is already implemented. Yeah. But most of these things can be covered within the cyber hygiene, and ensure that even when the platform has provided those particular controls, that your employees use them, and that you require them to change their passwords over a period of time, create strong passwords, and all those other things. What do you think? What do you think about access management? How are you managing access in your organization? Let us know in the comment section. And until next time, my name is Femias. Bye.